Power. It is a curious thing. Some seek it through dominance, others through silence, and some, the most elusive of them all, through absence. Nowhere is this more evident than in the game played by toxic avoidants, the masters of retreat, the artisans of emotional distance. They slip away just as you lean in. They pull back the moment things get too close, and, perhaps most frustratingly of all, they seem to thrive on your pursuit. But what if I told you there was a way to outsmart them, a way to step outside of their carefully crafted game and leave them wondering, regretting, doubting, long after they've disappeared into the shadows? Today, we are not merely talking about avoidance. We are talking about mastery, about strategy, about how secure individuals, those rare few who understand the nature of human connection, disarm the toxic avoidant in a way that leaves them reeling. You see, most people make a grave mistake when dealing with an avoidant. They believe the solution lies in persuasion, convincing, explaining, proving their worth. But persuasion, my dear listener, is for the anxious. The secure do something else entirely. They do nothing, and that is what disrupts the game. Before we delve into the mastery of the secure mind, let us first understand the rules of the game. A toxic avoidant operates within a predictable pattern, a loop of pursuit and retreat. They vanish, expecting you to follow. They create distance, assuming you will bridge the gap. They push, knowing you will pull. And why? Because it gives them control. Control, for an avoidant, is not about dominance in the traditional sense. It is about self-preservation. Somewhere along the way, they learned that closeness is dangerous. Vulnerability is a liability. They have trained themselves to withdraw before intimacy can hurt them. But here's the great irony. The avoidant does not run because they feel nothing. They run because they feel too much. A paradox, isn't it? They crave love, but they cannot hold on to it. They long for connection, yet sabotage it. And so, in order to protect themselves, they convince themselves of a great lie, that the person they are running from is not worth staying for. And here is where most people, particularly the anxious, fall into the trap. They believe that if they just prove their love, if they fight hard enough, stay long enough, endure enough, the avoidant will see the truth. But this is where the game is rigged. Because the moment you pursue, you validate the avoidant's belief that intimacy suffocates, that love is a cage, that the safest place to be is far, far away. And now we arrive at the moment of transformation, the shift from powerless to powerful, from desperate to dignified. A secure individual does not play by the avoidance rules. They do not chase. They do not plead. They do not perform. Instead, they do something so simple, so counterintuitive, that it short-circuits the avoidant's entire strategy. They mirror the distance. The moment an avoidant pulls back, the secure person does not lean in. They do not run after them. They do not knock on closed doors. They step back as well. They say, with their actions, "Ah, I see you are retreating. Very well, I will do the same." And in that moment, something remarkable happens. The avoidant, so accustomed to being pursued, suddenly finds themselves alone. The dynamic they have relied upon, the dance of push and pull, is broken. And in its place, there is only silence. Silence is a terrifying thing for an avoidant. It forces them to sit with their own choices, to feel the absence of the person they once assumed would always be there. They expected to be chased, reassured, validated. Instead, they are met with nothing. And nothing, my dear listener, is powerful. There is a concept in behavioral psychology known as cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort experienced when one's actions contradict their beliefs. The toxic avoidant, you see, operates under a very specific belief system. Love is a trap. I must run before I am caught. If someone loves me, they will chase. Now, when they run and you do not chase, They are left with a contradiction. If love is a trap, then why are you not trying to ensnare them? If they were right to leave, then why does it feel so wrong? And this is where regret begins to take root. The secure individual's response, or lack thereof, forces the avoidant to reassess. Instead of seeing their partner as needy or suffocating, they begin to see them as something far more dangerous, valuable. The avoidant starts to wonder, wait, were they not as invested as I thought? Did I misjudge them? Have I lost something irreplaceable? And once the mind begins to wander down this path, the game, as they say, is up. Now let me be clear. The purpose of this is not manipulation. The secure individual does not withdraw in order to provoke regret. They withdraw because they value themselves too much to beg for breadcrumbs. This, more than anything, is what rattles the avoidance foundation. A person who values themselves does not chase someone who does not see their worth. They do not sacrifice their dignity for the hope of being chosen. They do not wait in doorways, hoping for a return. Instead, they thrive. The secure person shifts their energy, not toward deciphering the avoidance behavior, but toward themselves. They build, they grow, they flourish. They engage in their passions. They nurture their friendships. They cultivate a life so full, so rich, that when the avoidant finally looks back, there is no one waiting. And that, dear listener, is when the regret truly begins. It is almost inevitable. At some point, the avoidant will resurface. The silence will become unbearable. The realization of loss too great. A message will arrive, cautious and uncertain. Hey, how have you been? Now here is the final test. The secure person does not leap at this breadcrumb, does not reward the absence with immediate attention. Instead, they evaluate. They ask themselves, is this person truly ready for a secure connection? Do they bring value to my life, or only confusion? Am I willing to step back into this, knowing what I know? Because here is the thing. The goal is not to make the avoidant regret leaving. The goal is to become so whole, so fulfilled, so secure, that whether they return or not, it no longer matters. That is the victory. That is the secret. That is how the game ends. In the end, power in relationships does not come from control, nor from the ability to make someone stay. It comes from choice, the ability to choose yourself, even when someone else does not. The avoidant may disappear, but the secure person remains, whole, unshaken, grounded in their worth. And that, dear listener, is why the secure individual always wins. Not because they played the game better, but because they refused to play at all. Now tell me, what will you choose?
If you believe this video might help someone dear to you, share it with them. A small gesture on your part could mean the world to a friend in need.